Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blur, aka Blue Justice, and I am from the likes of the Mexi Toys videos, as you probably expect at this point in time. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Sonic Frontiers for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PC Steam, and finally the Nintendo Switch. So, last time, we've essentially managed to still continue exploring for the forms of the Chaos Island, and as a result, we're actually getting very close to our progressioning for the sake of the forms of Chaos Island, and as a result, we've almost filled up the entire map, and all we need to do left now is, of course, we still need to complete certain challenges and stuff like that. So, yeah, you probably get the drill for this point, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, again, that usually sometimes this island might take a bit of while to complete. So either way, speaking of which though, is about the fact that I think, if I'm assuming correctly, we did somehow manage to obtain, I would say roughly 3 Chaos Emeralds for that matter, because obviously, in addition about the fact that we've already obtained one, which appears to be the red Chaos Emerald in the Chaos Emerald Vault, as well as the forms of the other 2 Chaos Emeralds, which are green and light blue colors, by simply doing some of these mission objectives, which are getting all these mechanical parts, and especially noticeable just trying to create a bridge opening. So as a result, yeah, we actually did those on the first attempt too. So even then though, everything's all pretty swell up until later on though, as it is. So today for this video is about the fact that we're about to be able to still continue things on, to actually explore through Chaos Island, and exponentially we're able to get ourselves our 6th Chaos Emerald, as we're going to be going into it right now. Especially because about the fact that we're actually getting very close towards the end of Chaos Island before we move on to the next island. Now, as far as I usually said this before, that the next island might not be involved around too much about it, but either way though, that'll be a discussion until possibly this Wednesday, because I think straight to the point about the fact that according to the actual time length, I don't think it's possible we can to actually take on the next Titan just yet, because obviously I still need to level up my rings capacity alongside with the forms of power and defense, just in case I don't want to get hit too many times. So yeah, you probably get the idea about that, because level up is important, especially noticeable because if you don't level up at all, basically you're gonna get wrecked a lot. Especially noticeable because concerning about the fact that you have to also level up your skill tree every once in a while. So, but either way though, that could be summed up as such. So, anyway, so a few things I want to explain for this point today. That is about the fact that today's date, of course, is the 26th of June today. In this case, in 2023 today. Where, basically... Oh yeah, I totally forgot about the Forms of the Starlight segment right here.
The whole reason we came here was because we detected the Chaos Emeralds were drawn here.
Did you figure something out?
I'm trying to put the pieces together. The Ancients' technology was built specifically for the Chaos Emeralds and runs on their power. All of the Starfall Island systems, even cyberspace, were in a kind of standby mode without the emeralds to power them. Once the power supply was restored though, someone would have had to boot up the systems and get them running.
I think I can guess who.
Alright, so let's go ahead and obtain the 6th Chaos Emerald. So, naturally speaking, we've only got 1 Chaos Emerald left, but then again, we'll get that right until whenever we come across into the 3rd Titan in the game. So, to be expected at this point. But it wasn't until we've realized about the fact that during later on anyway, we're about to come across into, some people seem to say, it's probably the most infamous challenge in the entire game. And I'll explain more details about that once we get into it. So believe me, it might take a bit of while to get to this point. Especially that, ironically enough, it actually took me about 1 attempt on not only on the Nintendo Switch version on my own time, but also say applies on the Xbox One version as well, strangely. So as a result, maybe because of my skills, it's actually going to be pretty swell. So I'm not exactly sure how many attempts I might exactly try to pull this off. During the forms of the PlayStation 4 version, because either way though, because, well, wish me luck I guess, because obviously the next challenge is gonna be a pain in the backside. And to make matters worse, it is mandatory if you want to beat the game, because otherwise though, well, again, we'll explain more details about that once we get to this point. So, anyways though, so a few things I want to explain for this point today, because obviously there's one thing I honestly forgot to mention about, especially noticeable, it's been like 4 days ago at this point, is that apparently the game called Mario Tennis Aces has now officially become 5 years old. And while looking back on Mario Tennis Aces, even to this day, I still haven't exactly beaten the entire story mode yet, because I'm still basically stuck on these tough matches, especially noticeable against with Boom Boom, and especially noticeable about the fact that usually that's the reason why, that I feel like the free update system decides to able to ruin the entire spotlight, especially noticeable because, you know, in order to able to get the the rest of the content, basically you have to wait until that specific time goes, for depending on what days does it go to, and basically it's about the fact that's why I always dislike the actual free update system, because not only because of the lack of interest of certain sports titles nowadays, but also about the fact that the actual waiting times for able to actually unlocking something just feels a bit kind of unsatisfying, if you will, because again, I miss the old days whenever you managed able to accomplish something like unlocking characters in the past for special conditions and all that stuff, which, again, some people always intend to able to notice something like this as well. But either way though, I guess bigger cells can't be choosers. And especially noticeable about the fact that, well, obviously as far as what Mario and Luigi have already both mentioned about this, during the course of the Mario Super Sluggers playthrough, that basically we have no luck of the forms of a Mario baseball game, because I'm pretty certain about the fact that it could be a reason why. I'm pretty sure maybe because the forms of Mario Strikers Battle League Football does not sell well compared to the forms of how it does in the past Mario football games or something. Well, mind you, I haven't exactly looked upon the forms of the sales Nintendo Switch game sales updates since The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So, and yeah, by the way, that reminds me about the fact that imagine until when it gets to the point until next year in 2024, I couldn't imagine about the fact that how, you know, when it comes to the new games that we've already got right now, when it got announced, obviously, that I've already mentioned quite a lot of things throughout, I couldn't imagine how the fact that how, the Super Mario Bros. Wonder were able to actually sell well enough during the course of, by the beginning of 2024 or something like that. Although I suppose we're able to discuss more details about the forms of the Nintendo Switch sales numbers by that time until, let's just say, at some point in August sometime, because obviously that will be the next update in terms of the actual Switch sales numbers. Especially noticeable, we can definitely hear about more details about the actual updates on how well the actual sales records for the likes of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom do actually sell well enough, and especially noticeable about the fact that how interesting how this is going. Well, again, it's a bit tricky to explain because I know for a fact that for one noticeable thing in mind, that unfortunately though, we've only got 4 days left until Everybody Want to Switch is about to be releasing, which obviously I'm going to skip that game because not only because I found it a bit boring and repetitive, but it's also about the fact that it's nowhere near as fun as the forms of the upcoming WarioWare Move It. Because let me tell you right off the bat though, suck it Everybody Want to Switch game, because obviously I think WarioWare Move It is going to be a heck of a lot more better than the forms of how it does it on Everybody Want to Switch in my opinion. Especially because, not only because it has some bit of quantity of games, or specifically quantity of mini-games or micro-games in WarioWare's case, but also about the fact that the quality of WarioWare Move It is actually very impressive still, especially noticeable that, although usually for the art style looks incredibly like the forms of how it does it on not only WarioWare Gold, but also with the forms of WarioWare Get It Together. Not very appreciated about the fact that we're not getting the actual port of Game & Wario, because thank goodness that's not the case, because obviously that game didn't sell well, and especially noticeable as one of the worst selling games on the WarioWare series of games and stuff like that. But either way, I suppose that, again, I don't mind the forms of the new WarioWare game, because obviously I love WarioWare stuff. Especially notable that I just wish we'll have ourselves the a Wario platformer game, but that's okay, because obviously about the fact that, well, despite the fact it's been almost roughly about 15 years ago since we've got the last Wario platformer game up to that point. So, oh, and if you're probably wondering about the fact that what the actual update is going to be like for the sake of our Let's Play of Wario Land The Shake Dimension, unfortunately though, that Let's Play is about to be delayed and join at some point until next year in 2024. The reason being for this is because, well, obviously I've got a lot of things to able to focus on right now. And as you can see, we finally managed able to complete every single challenges in Chaos Island. So that means we can now able to actually go into any portal transporters. So that should be all good. And by the way, we stumbled across into another Tetris segment. So at the very least, I pretty much know exactly where we're supposed to place those. So anyway, so let's just go ahead and go on to let's go for this spot right here, because I think this is the only portal transporter thing that we've not actually activated yet, and we do need to acquire 2 of those portal gears, so just in case we can able to actually activate the last of the actual cyberspace transporters. So I wonder what the level layout is going to be this time for the sake of the forms of this stage. Oh, wait a minute. If I recall correctly, it's going to be based off from Sonic Unleashed, specifically Spagonia Act 2. And it takes place in the forms of Sky Century level environment. So, yeah, it's basically Spagonia Act 2 based off from Sonic Unleashed in daytime stage. You don't know why? Because I think something tells me we need to go through a lot of laps during the forms of this particular stage. And usually for levels like this is a prime example of why I tend to able to ignore those specific additional acts or stages during the forms of our Let's Play of Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360 version, most likely, / PlayStation 3 versions, because obviously aside from the fact that we've already tackled for the DLC stuff, of course, but relatively speaking though, it's just about the fact that that's the perfect example of why that usually we were originally going to be able to show you guys some other stages back in the forms of in 2018, but didn't get around to it though, and especially noticeable it doesn't help I keep dying a lot, as you can tell, because obviously the checkpoints is a bit stingy on this stage, I'll admit though right away, and also about the fact that this stage can be felt a bit lengthy at times, so yeah, I was gonna have to mainly focus on this point right here, because obviously, if I get distracted on other things, well, obviously, about the fact that sometimes the actual jumps can be felt a bit sluggish at points, especially during the 2D segments from time to time, but still, I can't deny by that, so anyway, though, so yeah, because of that, though, about the fact that for my final thoughts of the Nintendo Direct just recently, during the forms of about last Wednesday and stuff like that, I think it's actually almost perfect in every way. I mean, there are a couple of issues I have with the forms of the particular Direct in mind, is that there's still no luck of the forms of Metroid Prime 4 to be mentioned, and especially noticeable, there's no confirmation on, let's just say, the remastered port versions of not only Metroid Prime 2, Echoes, but also with Metroid Prime 3, Corruption, because I know for a fact that a lot of Metroid fans are going to get pretty upset at this point, especially noticeable because we've already got Metroid Prime Remastered in this year, so we can expect about the fact that we can hopefully be able to get something announcement in regards to the forms of, you know, Metroid Prime 4, but ultimately speaking, though, yeah, it still doesn't happen yet, which I still have no idea what the heck is happening to Metroid Prime 4 at this point. And also not to mention though is about the fact that, well, I've already mentioned about the fact that during the course of the previous part on this so far, that I really wish if they were able to actually have shown us some more footage on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Wave 5, but again, I don't mind about the actual wait, because obviously just like in Wave 4, that it takes a bit of some time to able to pick the actual courses and stuff like that. But aside from all that stuff though, and I'm really hoping that Diddy Kong will able to make its return, because well, the last time he was in a console Mario Kart game was, you know, Mario Kart Wii. So, yeah, you probably get the idea about this particular topic in mind. So, anyway, and as to be expected, there's no new Mario Party game, because it seems very obvious, because we already got Mario Party Superstars since 2021, so we can expect about the fact I don't think we can probably able to hear about more Mario Party stuff for the time being until, let's just say until 2024, or maybe for the next generation of Nintendo console or something. So either way, because I'm sure enough that Mario Party Superstars is actually doing super well as well, along the same lines as Super Mario Party. So because of that though, they're both doing really well, especially noticeable it was on the Nintendo Switch to begin with. So yeah, that's probably the reason for it, I guess. So anywho though, and as far as to be expected about the fact that there's no new Mario Sports title, like I was expecting for a new Mario Baseball game, but turns out it isn't. And especially noticeable that I was expecting about the fact that if Mario and Sonic at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games will be a thing, but it might actually wait on that, especially noticeable because concerning about the fact that, well, we're still in 2023, so as a result, I'm not exactly sure if that game will attempt to be revealed anytime soon, or maybe it might do exactly the same treatment for the actual release date, for the sake of the forms of sense, you know, Tokyo 2020, or if I like to call it 2021, because obviously that particular Olympics got postponed until, you know, 2021. So, yeah, you probably get the gist of it, so. Anyway, so before we continue on exploring for the forms of Chaos Island, I'm gonna do the usual fishing stuff before I'm able to actually start to grinding not only more Cocos, but also with the forms of, more Seeds of Power as well as Seeds of Defense. So sometimes, you know, fishing can be felt a bit lengthy at points, but honestly it doesn't bother me too much because again it's actually super duper simple this time around compared to Sonic Adventure, so at least what I thought it was anyway. So, and exponentially speaking though about the fact that, well, generally speaking, hopefully I'm also guaranteed to get myself some good rewards, and especially noticeable we are also able to stumble across into certain Easter eggs for sure from the past Sonic games, potentially speaking. So even though at the moment we've got the treasure chest only contains one gold card, so we can pretty much go spend it on let's say one of those egg memos, which I'm pretty certain that I think, relatively speaking, will show off the egg memos once we're able to get close towards the end of the game, basically. So anywho though, so yeah, that's as far as I can usually say about this for this point. And I'm thinking about the fact that, well, when it comes to Mario Kart Tour right now, that we're actually getting very close to the Mario vs. Luigi Tour, which by that time we'll move on to the next tour, which, like I said before, well, even Mario and Luigi have both already mentioned about this, since in, you know, in Mario Super Sluggers, is that basically we're now going to be going into Italy in Rome. So it will be pretty cool though. And by the way, I really love the new outfit for Donkey Kong. He looks so cool, and I think it's one of his first alternative costumes for Donkey Kong. So yeah, that seems super dope and everything. Especially noticeable because concerning that we need some more Donkey Kong treatment after the events of, well, you know what I mean with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for sure. So anyway, so let's just go ahead and let the fish bite, and we'll get ourselves our next fish to catch. In some cases like a puffer fish or something like that. So anyway, speaking of which though, is about the fact that recently I have managed able to complete the main story of the forms of Mario Plus Rapid Sparks of Hope, the last Spark Hunter recently. And oh no, I actually did really enjoy that particular DLC expansion right there. Especially noticeable because concerning about the fact that, oh, we actually come across into an ancient tablet. Anyway, so yeah, because as a result, I actually really adore the actual planets, like specifically with all their musical vibes and everything, because kind of thinking about it, it does kind of reminds me of one of those worlds in not only from Sonic Advance 2, specifically Music Plant, but also with the forms of one of those worlds in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, like something relates to the forms of Fantasia world. So even then though, because it involves around music and everything, but I'll admit though right away though is about the fact that the main antagonist of that DLC called Kanya, she's actually very creepy and intimidating as well. Because kind of think about it, she does kind of reminds me like a rapid version of the Joker to me though. I don't know about you, because relatively speaking though about the fact that she looks very intimidating, so... And one thing I do appreciate about that is about the fact that it looks like every now and then they start able to keep on bringing back the actual good old villain from the likes of in Super Mario 64, which appears to be King Bob-omb once again. So yeah, it's nice to see about the fact that they're able to give us some more credit for when it comes to able to bringing back, you know, King Bob-omb in certain scenarios. So yeah, pretty awesome potentially. So well, at least technically we've already know that for a couple of times in the past. Like, we know for a fact that he obviously do return in, you know, not only in Mario Party 9, but also in Mario Party Island Tour, as well as Star Rush, and especially noticeable with the Top 100 in Defuse or Lose, and especially noticeable with Super Mario Party. The only two exceptions to this, on the other hand, which are both Mario Party 10 and, I would say Mario Party... Oh wait, here was technically a cameo appearance for the sake of the forms of King Bob-omb, for the sake of the sticker, so... Yeah, I guess that pretty much stopped up as such, at least I thought so anyway, so... Yeah, because strangely enough, he was not in Mario Party 10 for some reason, which, gee, most people seem to think about the fact that Mario Party 10 might be every now and then is actually one of the weakest console Mario Party games. Well, I do still find the game okay, but it's not the best, so I'll admit that right away. So either way, so let's just go ahead and warp on to, let's go here, just in case for fast travels for certain sequences and stuff like that, so just to ensure that we don't have to worry about going from rail to rail now. So I think, relatively speaking, everything else will be good to go for this point. Well, aside from the fact that I'm still missing some of those side stories I need to able to focus on, and especially noticeable with the forms of the main story itself too. So I would have liked able to activate the infinite boost for this point, but I think I might be okay as it is. But maybe in Journey forms within the later island, I will attempt to do the infinite trick or the infinite boost, but either way, let's talk to Tails.
I've been studying this door while you were exploring the island. It sounded like it unlocked from the inside.
Great. So, how do we open it?
See that switch next to the door? I think it'll react to the cyber energy stored in your body. There's no telling what's on the other side, but I'm betting it's important. Approach it whenever you're ready.
I'm always ready.
Oh boy, we pretty much know exactly what's gonna come. So here we go, folks, into, without a doubt, the most infamous challenge in the entire game. And here we go, folks, on to the pinball game. So yes, as you can tell, we need to complete this because obviously, again, as I said before, this is mandatory if you want to progress. Now as you can see, we need to get all the way up to, let's just say 5 million points. That's pretty ridiculous if you ask me. And also, you only got about roughly 3 balls to do this. So as a result, if you lose one of your balls, you have to keep on, like, well, as you can tell on the actual screen right here, basically you need to build up your score combo, because at the moment we actually got into ×4. However, if you keep on collecting rings or occasional red star rings, your score multiplier will be able to actually trigger. And as a result, that actually gives you a ton of points. Now here's the catch to this though, is about the fact that if you dare let the ball, you know, get out of the table, as you can see, your score multiplier will now go back to square one. And yeah, I can totally see why a lot of people really hate this particular challenge, because not only it's mandatory, but also about the fact you need to go for a lot of repetition for the sake of the forms of trying to able to rank up some points. But if you run out of those balls, you have to try again, and as a result, oh man, I couldn't imagine about the fact that for those who ever first time experiencing this, my god, it'll be pretty luck-based, because as a result, that, for what I've noticed, is about the fact that this kind of reminds me of the forms of, the Sonic Lost World, pinball section, when you're trying to grab one of those red star rings in that particular level, which is, of course, Frozen Factory Act 3, specifically on the Wii U version and the PC version, not the 3DS version, because it has the most infamous mechanic, so, but I digress. But yeah, it's probably best to recommend able to actually obtain one of those red star rings, because it actually builds up your multiplier scores quicker. But believe me, it will take you a lot of tries if you keep screwing up. Especially noticeable because it's all depending on RNG as well, depending on the forms of the bumper physics as well. And yeah, I can totally see why a lot of people hate this section because of this. But I'm sure enough I will calm myself down for this particular point, because I'm really hoping if I was going to able to do it on the first attempt, just like the forms of how it does it on my own time when I played not only the Switch version, but also on the Xbox One version. Well, I highly doubt for doing this on the PlayStation 4 version, because as you can see, I basically already got screwed over, and there's no way I can able to actually caught up, so... oh boy, this might take a while. But if you do get enough points, then obviously that particular entrance at the top will open up, and then basically that allows us to able to get a lot of progression, so... yeah, that's something, alright. Especially noticeable because, well, I will say this. Between this, alongside with the forms of the grand finale of the game, both of which is going to be one of the worst aspects of the game for me, though. Well, nothing bad, but it's just about the fact that it requires so much. I mean, so much of the actual, like... well, it's hard to explain, really, because even then, though, because I will admit, though, it's been about... 3 days ago, because obviously about the fact that at this point in time, that both Mario and Luigi are both getting very close towards the end of Mario Super Sluggers up to this point, because now they basically showing you guys some of these extra stages that you would able to experience in not only in exhibition mode, but also with the forms of challenge mode as well, if you so much more desire. But they've only got about 2 modes to show off, which are, let's just say, Toy Field and the mini games, and I think some of these extras as well. That's basically all there is to think about, especially noticeable because, well, I just can't even believe about the fact that we're actually getting very close towards the end of Mario Super Sluggers before we move on to a possibility of yet another Let's Play or something like that. It might not be a Mario sports game anytime soon, because obviously about the fact that I've already addressed something right from the get-go. It's about the fact that, yeah, we're apparently about to able to decide to do the redo Let's Play of Luigi's Mansion from now on, and during at some point by the end of the year, because obviously now we've finally managed to get ourselves, well, we'll admit though right away, is about the fact that we finally managed to able to get ourselves the console version of Luigi's Mansion 2, because like we said this before, thank God I don't have to worry about buying the ridiculous amount of money to able to invest myself the 3DS capture device. Well, I was attempted to back in 2019, but it didn't go too well. Especially noticeable, it actually requires me to able to get the 3DS XL, despite the fact that I was going to save up for something and during the forms of in 2020 during that time. Specifically that I somehow got the actual stuff replaced or anything else like that, but either way though, it's a bit tricky to explain as far as this is concerned, and something tells me I keep on screwing up, so... well, this is gonna be my 3rd attempt, that's for sure, because, well, let's just hopefully we'll seem to say 3rd time's the charm will be the luckiest day in the world, at least if I was assuming so anyway, but either way though, this is the reason why it took so long to able to actually get this video going, because of this particular minigame, or this challenge rather. It just feels a bit more likely a time constraint, or should I say, it just feels nauseating when you try to go for this kind of stuff, you know? And by the way, something's worth mentioning is about the fact that I like to call it an alternative name when it comes to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. If I could assure to you, I might actually also attempt to call it Super Mario Bros. 9, because obviously about the fact that since that New Super Mario Bros. U was the 8th entry in it when it comes to the 2D Mario games as far as I'm aware, well, at least if you don't account the forms of those 2 Super Mario Land games on the Game Boy, because they both managed to take place in a different environment. So as far as I'm aware, well, I can usually seemingly to say that Super Mario Land 2 might take place in Mushroom Kingdom just because of all that Goombas and Koopas are still there, but either way though, it's been a very long while since I've last played not only Super Mario Land 1, but also Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, so... But either way though, I suffice to say about the fact that I consider about the fact that with Super Mario Bros. Wonder is considerably the 9th entry in the series when it comes to 2D Mario series, at least as far as I'm aware. Although I may be wrong, because obviously about the fact that, well, it's been quite a few hours since we keep on talking about it, since when both Mario and Luigi have both mentioned about it, during the course of the intense final match against with Bowser Monsters team during the course of the finale portion of Challenge Mode. So, but either way though, that's besides the point. So, anyway, there's another discussion I'd like to make, and that is about the fact that, well, apparently, we did somehow get ourselves some information in regards to the forms of Sonic Superstars. That's what appears to be by the forms of the pre-order bonus items you can possibly get if you do manage to able to pre-order the game or something like that. And as it turns out about the fact that not only does it comes with the forms of, well, let's just say, in-game, or should I say, the exclusive Lego Eggman in-skin or in-game character skin, but also with the forms of the actual display stand, and finally the reversible cover. And I will admit though right away, it does look pretty cool though, I'm not gonna lie. And also in terms of the front cover, it looks really cool. Especially it features not only classic Sonic, but also classic Tails, classic Knuckles, as well as classic Amy, all in the action. So even then though, that does look pretty cool for that box art. So either way. But still, about the fact of the matter is though, it will be a pretty cool to be able to stumble across into the point where, well, again, it's a bit tricky to explain because I know for a fact that both Mario and Luigi have already mentioned about a lot of stuff already in Mario Super Slug, as you expect, so... Alright, so we're almost there, so yeah. Oh, there we go, the gate is now open, so yeah, you have to be able to get the ball in there, because otherwise, if you run out of balls, you have to start all over again. But hey, third time lucky, so kudos for my pinball skills, or pinball wizard.
Whatever you did triggered an eruption, and the lava burned away the cloud bank and revealed... something...
Hey, I've seen my fair share of pinball machines. I know one when I see one. Were those really part of the original ruins? I mean, the tech here outpaces Eggman's and is older than old. Well, I guess the love of pinball predates civilization.
Sonic, that Titan down there, do you really plan on fighting that? Even as Super Sonic, that thing is...
Keeping you, Amy, and Knuckles trapped? So yeah, I'm gonna take it down. Sit tight, partner. I'll take out this last Titan and get everyone back to normal.
So yeah, that pretty much opens up the actual crater, so that means we can able to take on the third Titan in the game. But, like I said before about the fact that I don't think it's possible we can able to do it throughout in this particular video, but believe me, we'll pretty much gonna have to do it at some point on Wednesday, mainly because of multiple factors. Like, for one, I need to grab some more rings, and of course, I do need to able to level up my rings capacity, and on top of all that stuff though is about the fact that we can able to keep on leveling up. So, that's the way how I roll, I guess. So, anyway, so there's another thing I should probably explain anything's kind of stuff though, is about the fact that apparently though, that the actual type of the new character that's going to be introduced in Sonic Superstars, that's usually, as far as we already on about this, about the fact that her name was Trip. Now, the reason why I say her is because whenever I looked upon the actual website of Sonic Superstars character description, that it did say about the fact that, well, not only it actually became like a raccoon animal type, but also about the fact that it's definitely a female character, at least as far as I'm concerned. So, it will be pretty interesting though, especially noticeable because concerning about the fact that, well, it wasn't until we've realized about the fact that there was actually a leak going on, which, again, I don't usually trust leaks and rumors anymore, just because, again, they attempt to fake me out. So in some cases though, they mentioned briefly about the fact that maybe it's a possibility of the release date of Sonic Superstars. It could be possibly being released at some point on the exactly the same month as in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which it could be interesting because obviously about the fact that I just really love the fact that for this year in particular, that not only do we get ourselves, you know, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, or if I like to call it Super Mario Bros. 9, because, you know, it's the 9th entry in the series when it comes to 2D Mario games, when it comes to the Super Mario Bros. Brand, or anything else like that. At least if you want to count the Japanese version of Super Mario World, because Super Mario World in the Japanese version does have a subtitle for it. Like, usually it does say Super Mario Bros. 4, so yeah, you probably get the gist of it though, at least as far as I like to able to point things out. So, anyways, let's talk to Sage.
So I think I've figured it out. The Coco are the spirits of the ancients, aren't they?
What if they are?
I've run into my fair share of spirits who stick around because of their regrets. Sometimes I've been able to help them move on. Just how long have they endured like this, though? Were we brought here to help them finally find peace?
Why ask me?
Because I feel like you might be in the same boat. And if so, I'll help if I can.
So yeah, in addition with the forms of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, there was, you know, Sonic Superstars, and exponentially a Disney game called Disney Illusion Island, which not only does it feature the forms of the 2D gameplay aspect with those three games combined, but also about the fact that they do have unique art styles, which as a result, it feels quite intriguing for the sake of the forms of this year so far, when it comes to 2D games and stuff like that is about to be coming. Well, as a matter of fact though, it's about the fact that I'm pretty sure we've only got about a month left until, you know, Illusion Island is going to be releasing. So, even then though, because it plays kind of like the forms of how it does it for Rayman Origins for not only in the past few consoles, but also say applies with the forms of Rayman Legends as well. Which kind of thing about it though is about the fact that until by that time, until in August, we can probably celebrate the 10th anniversary of Rayman Legends.
Hey again, since we've grown so close, how about helping me out?
I have run the simulations. Sharing data will not change the outcome.
You're always talking about odds and simulations, but we living beings don't live by calculations. The will to live, the drive to achieve, the desire to protect the ones you love, that kind of thing can grant a power you can't imagine.
Love can be converted into power. Do you have any data to back this proposed conversion?
Nope. That's what makes it miraculous. But if you really need proof, I'll whip you up a miracle by the end of all this. You'll see.
Oh, and by the way, speaking of Trip as a new character in Sonic Superstars, I totally get the name of it because for what I've seen the actual description for it, that she feels a bit clumsy. So as a result, I totally get how that particular character reaction is going to be like. So, but either way, that's as far as saying goes. I think that's as far as we can able to talk about for the sake of time for this point, folks. But then again though, I apologize for that particular uploading schedules is getting like super darn slow at points, especially noticeable because of the stupid lag.
Yo, Tails. Can you tell if there's anything special about the ruins with this symbol?
I can't be sure without a proper analysis, but it doesn't seem remarkable. What is remarkable is the data retention after all these years. The corruption is negligible, and the maps are so accurate. Not to mention the way they can imprint the map data directly into the user's mind. It's hard enough explaining yourself to your peers, let alone some long-distance civilizations.
Yeah, too bad they can't give us all the answers to the island's mysteries. You're right, though. It's pretty amazing to have a civilization based on brain power.
So yeah, with that being said, although I was expecting something about the fact that I was originally able to actually show you guys, you know what I mean about the forms of the second free DLC update for Sonic Frontiers, but I think it's probably best to able to actually wait on that until specifically whenever we get to the forms of the beginning of July, despite the fact that it's a bit late than ever, I suppose, especially noticeable because, well, relatively speaking, we've now got ourselves, you know, the actual birthday bash, and especially noticeable with the open zone challenges, and especially noticeable with the forms of, the new ability, and especially noticeable with the new Game Plus, which as a result that both Mario and Luigi have already mentioned about that during the course of the forms of yesterday's Mario Super Sluggers video.
We're at a pretty high altitude. It's hard to say how high due to all the clouds.
Any higher and we'd risk Angel Island bumping into us. Pretty harsh conditions for anyone to be living and working under.
The ancients must have had a reason for coming up here. Given the infrastructure, I don't think this was a residential area. It seems more like military front lines.
First strike position, huh? I mean, those cannons aren't just for show. With everything we've seen, just what kind of enemy were they preparing for?
Alright, so now we need to find yet another cyber form of Tails, so just to ensure that we will be able to actually just to try to complete certain side stories here and there before we get onto the main threat, which is of course the third Titan, and at the same time trying to get ourselves the 7th and the final Chaos Emerald for the 3rd time so far during the course of Sonic Frontiers as a result. So yeah, you probably get the idea how that's going to turn out to be. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame about the fact that, well, as far as what both Mario and Luigi have already mentioned about that, that is about the fact that I was a little bit disappointed about the forms of Sonic Central, mainly because they didn't bring something new to the table, they only mentioned some existing parts.
Sonic, do you think I can change?
What do you mean, like a tire? Or the tornado's engine oil?
No. I mean, when I was lost in cyberspace, I was confronted by another version of myself. He said I was just a follower, that I couldn't think or act on my own. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't bring myself to say anything back. I worry he's right and that I haven't changed at all.
Whatever. Some spooky cyber copy hasn't seen you in action. I've seen it firsthand. You've definitely grown, and I know you'll keep on working hard.
Like, even then, they still haven't exactly mentioned about the forms of the next Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games 2024, or something relates to that. Although, to be fair though, they still continue supporting the forms of not only this game for the sake of the forms of free updates, but also with the forms of currently, with the forms of Sonic Superstars they're about to be working on to. So, but either way though, and as far as I'm aware about the fact that it's kind of, hard to say about this for the most part, because even then, that sometimes though, that's what I can really say about this, I guess. So, but again, I would have liked able to explain any of this specific stuff though at this point in time. Although, to be fair though, about the fact that we're actually getting, you know, very close towards the end of not only for June, but also the actual entire wrap-up of the forms of the first half of 2023, which I'll give my final thoughts of the first half of the year once we get into the forms of the continuation of the Chaos Island, and we can potentially try to able to say that in addition to trying to take on the 3rd Titan, there's a possibility we can able to hop into the 4th island eventually. So, but sometimes it takes a bit of time to able to get into that specific stuff though, so yeah, you probably get the gist of it. So, but either way, although we were expecting to able to actually complete the entire side stories for this island, but unfortunately though, that does not seem the case for this video, so, but exponentially, we will planning to do that at some point during the next video in the process, so. Anyway, if I recall correctly, Tails is right over here, so pretty easy to spot.
What I wouldn't give to study this ancient technology properly. It doesn't look like like this was a projectile weapon.
So no ancient cannonballs then, huh? Wait, are you saying this is a beam weapon? Like on the egg carrier?
Exactly. From what I can tell, it has its own battery, independent of an outside power source. Moreover, its capacity is ludicrous. It could level a mountain. It's almost up there with the Eclipse cannon. But that was plugged into the Ark's reactor. This is freestanding. The Ancients' designs are amazing.
Yeah, that's cool and all, but I mean, they built these things to shoot at something. Wow, what kind of enemy takes that much firepower to stop?
So I think we should probably end things up at this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Sonic Frontiers. Is that not only we can able to wrap things up everything in Chaos Island, but also we can get ourselves the 7th and the final Chaos Emerald to take on the 3rd Titan in the game. So I'll see you guys until on Wednesday. Later, fellas.